The oven built into your kitchen wall is the slowest appliance you own. And a Japanese company just proved it in front of a room full of reporters. They brought a machine that flips the water molecules inside the chicken back and forth roughly 2.5 billion times every second. Another heat in it cooks the skin with nothing but light. The company calls the third one the golden heater. Before this video ends, you'll know why the oven has been the slowest thing in the kitchen for 100 years, and why a $4,000 machine sold as the future of cooking still ships with an accessory the same company invented 60 years ago and has never managed to kill. The chicken in 30 minutes. Earlier this year, in a convention hall in Orlando, a Japanese company set up a working kitchen in front of a room full of reporters and did something you'd normally only see in a restaurant. They took a whole raw chicken, straight out of the packaging, close to 6 pounds, and slid it into a machine roughly the size of a microwave. Then they shut the door and carried on talking. 30 minutes later, they opened it and lifted out a finished bird. Skin browned all over, juice running clear, cooked the whole way through to the bone. 30 minutes might not sound like much until you cook that same chicken at home. Your oven needs 10 to 15 minutes just to warm up before the bird is allowed in. Then it needs about an hour and a half of roasting. That's Sharp's own arithmetic, by the way, because the company measured a chicken this exact size against a normal oven, and the normal oven took 3 times longer. 90 minutes against 30. In the time your kitchen delivers 1 chicken, this machine hands you 3. Your air fryer doesn't save you either, and the air fryer is the thing that made most people stop using their oven on a weeknight in the first place. A 4-pound chicken in a good air fryer takes about 45 minutes. That's a smaller bird, and it's still 15 minutes slower. The company is Sharp, the Japanese electronics brand whose name is probably already on a microwave or a television somewhere in your house. The machine is called the Celerity. It's a wall oven, 30 inches across, the kind that gets built into a cabinet at eye level instead of sitting under a stovetop. And it went on sale in America this year with a model number, a price, and a delivery date, which is more than most kitchen breakthroughs ever manage. The cookies were the better demonstration, because everybody has baked cookies and everybody knows what a bad tray looks like. On that same show floor, Sharp's team ran a batch in front of the press. 9 minutes. Crisp at the edge, still gooey in the middle. A convection oven needs 15 at the absolute minimum, and you'd have burned another 10 waiting for it to preheat. The reporters ate them and said they tasted like their grandmothers. So the food is real. People chewed it. The question is, what's producing it? Because ovens have been ovens for about a century, and nobody wakes up one morning and doubles the speed of hot air. There's a second question sitting underneath that one. A machine that already does every one of these things has been cooking chicken with light bulbs in American showrooms for decades, and it costs $1,500 less. 3 kinds of heat in one box. Your oven doesn't cook food. It heats a box of air and waits for the air to get around to it. Heat lands on the surface, then crawls inward 1 millimeter at a time, and the middle of a chicken is the last place it reaches. Convection added a fan so the air moves faster. That's the last significant thing that happened to the oven, and it happened generations ago. The Celerity fires 3 things into the cavity at once. True convection does the job convection always did, keeping hot air moving so the outside doesn't turn to leather while the middle catches up. Microwave energy does the part that's fast. Microwaves skip the surface entirely and go straight for the water already inside the food. At the frequency every household microwave runs on, the field reverses direction about 2.5 billion times a second, and the water molecules in that chicken flip back and forth trying to follow it. The friction is the heat. It starts everywhere in the meat at once instead of queuing at the skin, which is why a microwave boils a mug of coffee in 90 seconds and your oven can't. Then infrared handles the one thing microwaves have never managed: browning. Light doesn't travel through the oven to reach your chicken. It arrives, and it arrives at the surface, which is exactly where crust happens. Sharp's element for this is the golden heater, and it's the piece the company shouts about loudest. Stack the 3 and you get microwave speed with oven finish, the combination home cooks have wanted since 1945 and never been given. Moisture sensors read the cavity and adjust as it runs. A camera inside lets you watch from your phone. There are 9 manual modes if you'd rather drive it yourself, air fry and grill and convection bake among them. That's the pitch, and it's a good one. Now read the bottom of the page. The line at the bottom of the page. 3 times faster than a conventional oven. That's the headline, printed on every listing, repeated word for word by every outlet that covered the launch. Sharp footnotes it. The footnote says the test used a whole chicken of roughly 5.9 pounds, cooked in the Sharp stainless steel European Convection built-in single-wall oven, model SWA3052DS. The oven, it's 3 times faster than, is Sharp's own oven. The company picked one of its own products, ran one bird through both, and printed the ratio. That isn't fraud, and it isn't unusual. Every appliance brand benchmarks against itself. It does mean the number describes how one Sharp compares to another Sharp. It says nothing about the range in your kitchen. The second footnote is smaller, and it costs the company more. Sharp's industry-first claim carries a marker, and the marker defines the claim. It reads, electronic cooking appliance with a golden carbon heater. That's the entire boast. Not the first oven to combine microwave energy with radiant heat. Not the first machine to cook a chicken in half an hour. The first one built around that specific element. Swap the element for a different one, and the sentence survives, which is precisely why the sentence was written that way. If the combination isn't new, someone got there earlier. The oven America already built. General Electric got there earlier. GE's Advantium line has been on sale for decades doing the same thing from the same angle. Halogen bulbs above and below the food, throwing radiant heat, boosted by microwave energy underneath, so the outside browns like an oven and the inside cooks like a microwave. Light and microwaves, the two ideas Sharp is selling as the future, sold under a General Electric badge while some of you were in school. GE's own marketing has claimed as much as 8 times faster than a traditional oven. It arrives preloaded with 175 programs because GE worked out long ago that this kind of heat confuses people and they'd need the training wheels. Appliance retailers who stock the whole category still call the Advantium the original speed oven. One showroom that runs live demos put scalloped potatoes through it in 18 minutes against 50 in a normal oven, browned on top, tender underneath. The prices are where it gets uncomfortable. The Advantium range runs from about $2,100 to $3,500, with the built-in profile model around $2,499. The Celerity is $4,000. So the machine being sold as the future of cooking has walked into a category an American company created, priced roughly $1,500 above the incumbent, carrying a heating element and a footnote. Sharp's version may genuinely cook better. Nobody outside a trade show floor has run the two side by side yet, which is worth holding on to before anyone spends $4,000. One more item ships in the box with it, and it was invented by Sharp in 1966. The plate that still spins. Open the accessory list for the Celerity and you'll find wire racks, an air fry basket, a ceramic dish, and a ceramic carousel turntable. A turntable. In the $4,000 oven. In 1966, Sharp released a home microwave called the R600, and its innovation was a rotating plate in the floor. Sharp is the company that gave the world the spinning glass plate. It was never a feature. Microwaves bounce energy around a metal box. The waves collide with themselves, and those collisions freeze into fixed patterns of intense energy and almost none. Hot spots and dead spots, locked to the geometry of the cavity, sitting in the same places every single time you close the door. Engineers couldn't smooth the field out, so they dragged the food through it instead and hoped the average came out edible. That's the spinning plate. It's an apology with a motor. 60 years on, Sharp is selling a flagship that costs as much as a used car, and the apology is still in the accessory box, because the microwave half of the Celerity has the identical physics problem the R600 had. Panasonic put a machine on American shelves this summer with no turntable at all, sensing the cavity in dozens of places, for $430. Different machine, different job, and a reminder that the interesting engineering isn't always at the top of the price list. What it actually replaces. Strip the marketing off and ask what leaves your kitchen when this arrives. Not the oven for most people. It's a 30-inch wall oven with a cavity under 2 cubic feet, closer to microwave size than to the range you already own. A holiday turkey isn't going in there. 2 trays of cookies at once isn't happening either. If you cook in volume, This is a second oven, and the people who genuinely love these machines almost all keep a normal oven beside them. What it replaces is the clutter on your counter. The microwave, because there's one built in with real power control. The air fryer, because air fry is one of the 9 modes. The toaster oven, because it browns. 3 appliances into one cavity, and if you're building a kitchen from scratch, that arithmetic is more honest than anything in the press release. That's a real product with a real buyer. It's a smaller buyer than replace your oven forever, and it's probably the one Sharp should be selling to. Who owns the Japanese oven? The whole appeal here rests on this being Japanese engineering, so it's worth knowing where the company sits now. Sharp was founded in Japan in 1912, and its history is a genuine list of firsts. It has also been controlled from Taiwan since August 2016, when Foxconn took roughly 66% of the company for about $3.8 billion, after Sharp's display business nearly sank it. Foxconn has held the controlling block ever since. That doesn't make the oven worse. Engineers in Osaka still design it, and Japanese standards still apply. Japanese innovation is doing heavy lifting in the advertising, though, and the phrase now describes a design culture rather than who owns the building. The machine isn't as new as this year's coverage suggests either. Sharp brought the Celerity out at the same trade show a full year earlier, celebrity chef demo included, then rolled it out again to a fresh round of headlines. The verdict: does Japan's new invention replace the oven forever? No, and the technology isn't the reason. The technology is the most solid part of this story. 3 heat sources in one cavity, no preheat, a bird in 30 minutes, and cookies in 9 that people ate and praised on the record. That's a real step forward, and every kitchen will eventually own something built on the idea. What doesn't survive the receipts is the framing. 3 times faster is Sharp measured against Sharp. Industry first is one heating element, not one idea. The category belongs to an American company that has been selling it for decades at $1,500 less, and the flagship still ships the turntable its own grandfather invented, because the physics underneath has moved less than the brochure implies. What you should actually buy. If you're renovating and you want speed cooking built into the wall, shop the category rather than the newest badge in it. Speed ovens are old enough now to be dependable, and one large retailer's service data puts first-year repair rates on them under 5%, better than most wall ovens. Compare the Advantium against the Celerity on cavity size, controls, and whether the preloaded programs match the food you actually cook, because the learning curve is the real cost of owning one. If you're not renovating, none of this is your purchase. A $400 countertop machine with proper sensing fixes most of what annoys you about reheating, and an air fryer under $100 handles the browning. 2 boxes, $500, 90% of the result. And if you've spent this whole video glancing at the oven you already own and deciding it's slow, it is. Not because it's old, because hot air has been the only tool inside it since the day it was built, and the fix has been sitting in American showrooms for decades, waiting for somebody to bolt a new name onto it. Don't forget to subscribe if you got any value.